Greetings, this is Amy Wentley with Chai Knuckles Knitting. This is episode 2022-22, the Davis T, the knitted hem. So I'm working on a project called the Davis T by Pam Ellen. The pattern is distributed by Quince and Company. And as an alternative to this pattern, I've decided to add a knitted hem at the bottom. This pattern just starts off with casting on and going right into stockinette, but I wanted a little bit more of a finished edge. So in order to start a knitted hem, I cast on the stitches for the sweater. I worked an inch in stockinette stitch, then 1 row of purl, and then an inch in stockinette stitch. Once I get to that point, what I'm going to do is fold this work together with the right side facing out and the purl edge at the bottom. And I'm going to actually join these live stitches that are on the needle to the original cast on. So in order to do that, what I want to do is get another needle. Now this needle needs to be as long or longer than the needle I started with. And it should be smaller. You're not actually going to be sizing the stitches with this needle. This needle's just going to hold them. So I want to get this second needle set up and getting ready to work this hem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the piece so that I am looking at the inside of the work. So this is the purl bump side, not the stockinette stitch side. And I'm going to fold up the edge so that I can now see the edge stitches of the cast on, and I'm going to zoom in for you so you can see this a little better. So this is the cast on here. If you turn it this way, all of this is facing outward, and when I fold this up, I'm looking at the right side of the work, but it's actually on the inside of my piece. So I'm going to take my smaller needle and I am going to pick up this purl bump. Now I used a long tail cast on. Your cast on might be different than mine. It might not look exactly like this, but the intention is that you pick up every stitch along the cast on edge, similarly to this, so that you're going to end up with as many stitches on this new needle from the cast on edge as you have on your live stitches on your needle right now. And I know I have 60. So you see how I'm picking up one stitch from each one of these columns of stitches of the stockinette. And this is my cast on edge here. So I'm picking up one stitch per column of stitches from my cast on. So I'm going to continue to do this until I get all the way around, all 60 stitches, and then I will meet up with you back here to show you how to bring them all together. So I will be right back. Hi, I'm back. So I went ahead and I got my new needle all the way around the cast on edge here. And I have 60 stitches on this new needle, and I have 60 stitches on my old needle. Okay, my old needle is the one that I used to create all this fabric to begin with. I worked 6 rows stockinette, 1 row of purl, 6 rows of stockinette. And so these stitches are now being held on the new needle. You'll notice there's a lot of extra cord left over, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, we're going to bend this inside now. Turn the whole thing so that we have all the stitches and the two needles coming together at this one point. Okay, so it's kind of hard for you to see, I'm sorry. Let me back up a little bit again so you can get an overview of the whole picture. So I've got this all bent in now. This is what's coming up now on my needle, and this is a double thickness, the front and the back, with a purl ridge running on the bottom. And I'm going to get my back needle, I'm going to get the needle into those stitches so that I have a firm surface to work against. So I'm just going to pull on my needle, and I'm going to get it, whole thing's in the round, so this shouldn't be that hard to do. Pull on my needle so that I can get these stitches. So this is my new needle, and I'm going to let this end of the needle just fall over towards the side. Then I've got the other end of the new needle that has all the stitches on it back here, getting ready to be worked. And I am going to keep this tail in between these two layers of fabric. It's just going to hide there. So now I've got my live stitches on my old needles, and I've got the new needle back here. And what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to take the other side of my old needle and I'm going to start working around. And I'm going to knit the stitch on the old needle and the first stitch on the new needle together as I go around. And let me see if this is true, because I think I might have to reshoot that because I'm going to have a purl bump on the front. So, excuse me, what I'm going to do actually is I am going to at this point right now, I am noticing that, let me see. Okay, this is actually, okay, let's start over again. Here we go. Okay, so, all right, so I have my new needle inserted, and those stitches are going to be at the back. The stitches on my live needles, my old needle, are going to be facing me in the front. So from now on, and it always was, this is going to be my right side. Okay, so I now am going to work the stitch on the old needle and the stitch on the new needle together like a knit stitch. Okay, what that's going to do is that gives me a knit stitch on the front. It's a purl stitch on the inside now. So let me try again. I'm going to do the next stitch on my old needle, the next stitch on my new needle, wrap and pull through both of those stitches and drop both of those stitches off the needle and tug. Okay, so let me get a little closer so you can see that again. And it does not matter if the new needle is a lot thinner than the front needle, because it's this right needle here that is sizing the stitch, that's making it the right size. So you want to make sure whichever needle you're knitting with, that it's the size that you want it to be. So again, since we're a little closer, stitch on the front needle, the old needle, stitch on the new needle, then wrap and pull through both stitches as if to knit. So I am going to pause the video again, and I'm going to work around until we're very close to the end, and I'll show you what that looks like once we get there. So I will be right back. I'm back for a minute. I haven't gotten all the way around, but here are a couple of little clues for you. As you go around, make sure you keep tucking in the work so that the wrong sides face and you've got like a 2-layer fabric there. And as you're working the old needle stitch and the new needle stitch, you might find it's kind of hard to pull through both at once. So you can wrap and pull through the back, and if you want to, even drop that off and then pull through the front stitch again, and that makes it come off a little easier. So old needle, new needle, wrap, pull through the new needle and drop off, pull through the old needle and drop off. That might make it a little easier for you. And I'm going to go ahead and keep going around, and as I said, I'll be back in a minute. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm back. I've worked almost all the way around the hem at this point. I have 4 stitches left on my back needle. Whoops. And I have 4 stitches left to finish from the front needle. And so I thought I'd have you join me here now, and I will finish those 4. And then we'll see what it looks like. So as I've been going around, I have been trying a little bit of a shortcut that's made it a little easier for me. I put the right needle in both stitches on the old needle and the new needle, and I wrap and I pull through the new needle and drop off back there first, and then I've been pulling through on the front needle and dropping off. Makes it a little easier, keeps everything from dropping off everywhere. So I wrap, pull through the back needle and drop it off the back needle, pull through the front needle and drop off. So I've got 2 more left. And this is the last one. And just take out the old needle, and now you've got everything on, or take out the new needle, the tinier one, and then you have everything left on your needle that you've been working with all along. So that's convenient. So this is what it looks like. The bottom of the sweater will look like this from the front. Has a nice little edge at the bottom with those purl bumps. And from the inside you can see these purl bumps here were where we knit those pieces together. It's a little bit puffy. One thing you can do if you want is to work 1 less stitch in the, that ends up being the first part. So in the second part you'd work 1 more row. So it would be like if I started with 6 rows, then a row, 6 rows, and then a row of purl, then I could do 5 rows, so 7 rows, and that way, so it would be 6 rows, a row of purl, and 7 rows, so that the part that I fold under here is actually a little shorter and it won't puff as much. Just 1 row difference. So that's how to do a knitted hem, and stay tuned for future videos on my YouTube channel, and thank you for joining me today. Bye-bye.